Hi guys, and welcome to Crypto Waffle episode 12. As you can both see, we are wearing MAGA caps. Reason being they weren't born last week as mine hadn't been delivered, and if I'm honest, totally forgot I even ordered the damn thing. So better late than never, but they're here. This week on Crypto Waffle, we are discussing market madness. Why is everything crashing? What should I do? Earnings in TradFi world. A look at a busy week ahead with huge earnings reports, and obviously the Fed's meeting, which I believe is Wednesday. And Ethereum outlook. Is ETH dead? How's the ETH ecosystem looking? So, what do you feel? What did you think when you woke up this morning and saw Bloodbath?
I sent a message to a friend of mine, my longest serving friend, and I said to him, I've never felt this low during a bull run ever.
Yeah.
I think this is the worst I think I've ever felt during a bull run. Confused, upset, frustrated, annoyed. Yeah, I am basically I'm walking Twitter at the minute. I'm just I'm just an angry man. So it's tough. It is tough. We've had a tough week.
It's not just as last week. I think everyone was getting a bit of hopium, weren't they? As we were back up at the range highs, thinking we were going to break out. But I think when we did our predictions, I was like, look, we're still range bound until proven otherwise. So yeah, don't get overly excited.
Well, the last episode we actually called it, or I titled it, "The Trend is Your Friend Until It Isn't," and you had said it 2 or 3 times during that episode, and I thought, this guy, Mr. Sensible, let's just be Moon Boys, and then yeah, it's just, and I think the red we've got this time round now is that it does feel like, unfortunately, this time it is different, and maybe not different in a good way, just different and confusing, which has been very tough.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been an easy market, I think, especially for people that are class experience. And because obviously every bull market is different. No bull market is ever the same. And the hardest part of it is normally just trying to remain long during it. But the trend is our friend, and the trend still hasn't broken on a higher time frame basis. As much as if you look at a 4-hour or a daily chart, it looks awful, especially when you're looking at some of these big AI agent names now, how they look crap. The trend is still our friend. It hasn't broken. So I think it's just a matter of trying to navigate where we are. Also, the thing I like to kind of keep in mind is that the underlying circumstances haven't changed. The Fed is most likely still going to have to print. Even if they don't, we know other countries are globally already. You watch global liquidity, you see that slowly ticking up over I think last week has ticked up pretty viciously. Obviously, we've had a bigger scare today because of this new DeepSeek AI obviously released from China, and that being competition to OpenAI and NVIDIA and all this stuff. Hence why we've seen a 15% correction in NVIDIA today.
Have we got that as something to discuss?
No, but that's kind of in the market, man.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That's the sort of thing, because that will, to be honest, that is what has caused today's sell-off, or news headline that's caused.
I've got a rant about that. Well, I will save it.
So it's not like we didn't know this before the weekend came. I mean, obviously everywhere, as everyone does in this space, you're reading tweets today, and a lot of the people I tweeted basically saying, look, we knew about this on Friday. It's just taken the weekend for people to digest this effectively.
It is pretty big news, I guess.
Yeah. This is why obviously we've seen a bit of a sell-off in NASDAQ, and obviously NVIDIA, which I think had about 600 billion wiped off its market cap today. We've also seen I think it was just over $1 billion in crypto liquidations as well, in leveraged longs and that, which is, in my eyes, a good sign. Start wiping some of this leverage off, because market makers are then going to obviously then go again the other way, because you will get people that were short. And then there will be liquidity to grab to the upside. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do get shot back up to the upper boundary and everyone starts getting bullish again. But until we get out of this range, I'll remain conservative. I will just be picking up cheap alts until otherwise kind of set.
Yeah. So my portfolio looks like I need to start printing out my CV. All of the all. And the funny part about it is that I thought buying at the start of the year, I thought, okay, I felt good about it. Like, I've got decent entries in these things. We're getting into silly season. Prices are going to go crazy. I'll be good. And then,
Yes, it's always a different path though. Like, because I'll show some other like bigger macro charts later because I had a new report come out literally yesterday. So I've only digested that today. I've written down a couple pages of what they're on, which I want to show, just to give people a bit of a bigger picture what we're looking at. But we'll do that towards the end. Earnings and stuff this week. Do you think this will change market sentiment at all or not?
I think the problem is now, is that I'm on tilt. I'm on tilt now. So whatever I would have normally said when I was sober, I'm not going to say now. I feel like everything's going to zero. Crypto's a scam. Let's all sell. So here's the thing, right? The discussion has been that this new DeepSeek AI came out, and as usual, they put out their own benchmarks. The benchmarks seem great. You go to actually use it and you're like, whatever. So this DeepSeek AI, I was initially told it's better than OpenAI o1. I was using the two of them today. It's about the same. Difference being that it's free. Now, I don't see how this impacts NVIDIA much, especially not in a negative way. Because this DeepSeek AI, it runs on NVIDIA anyway. It's a software, and NVIDIA make hardware. So why should NVIDIA care who is making this software if they're an American company or they're not? Yeah. Second of all, America makes something, China go off and make it as well, and they make it cheaper. That has been happening for as long as I've been alive. I can't remember a time when we made anything, China didn't turn around and make it cheaper. Now, I remember when I was maybe 14 or 15, we used to play on PlayStation or whatever. And China had found a way to make the games, copy them or make them free. They basically copied them and they made them cheaper. Like they've basically copied OpenAI or AI and they've made it cheaper. That didn't kill the games market. It made a difference, but it didn't kill the gaming market. So I don't think that this DeepSeek R1 is as bad news as people are taking it. I think that's...
I think it's just an initial shock, isn't it? Because people were like, oh, well, not OpenAI is the only one, but it was the main kind of hub. And then all of a sudden you've had this supposedly better, cheaper alternative. The one's kind of just rushed. And to be fair, you understand it when you think about it at a level that these big market makers and hedge funds and institutionals look at it, because they have a lot of money invested in this stuff.
I think everybody's waiting for the bad news to come out about NVIDIA. And I think that's the problem. I think everybody is very, very scared. So the moment something does come out, everybody's like, oh my gosh. But DeepSeek releasing a really good AI model, which is what they've done, it doesn't change the playing field much for NVIDIA. I think if China took Taiwan, then we can talk. Then we can say, okay, well, NVIDIA are in trouble now because
that's a much bigger shock.
Much bigger problem. But we haven't had that. So I think it's possibly a healthy correction, and then a news article that kind of fits that narrative, which everybody was kind of waiting for. People were saying it feels frothy. The big seven feel frothy anyway. So we'll wait and see. I've got a feeling that when the earnings do come out, some will underperform, some will overperform.
I mean, the earnings, I don't think will have as much an effect as Jay's Powell speech this week. I think a lot of earnings are whoever's releasing earnings this week, it's just an unlucky week to be releasing earnings. For anyone involved, I think the main weight is obviously on what Joe Powell's going to do. Is he going to come out slightly dovish and kind of lean Trump's way, or is he going to kind of stick to being a bit hawkish and be like, no, I'm just going to wait for data sort of thing? That's the real game. And obviously, during a week like this, if you're trading, it's probably a no trade week if I was a trader, just because of the amount of volatility that will be involved, especially when it comes to Powell's speech. Which as soon as he starts talking, the market will just go bang or bang.
Yeah. So what I always do is I always go to Polymarket. So I wonder if I can, let me see if I can, actually, do you know what? Let me share my screen. I'll share my screen and I'll show you what I usually do.
What are the odds saying at the minute? What is there to have a look?
I don't know. Right. So I'm going to have to find, would it be in politics? There we go.
Decision. There we go.
Red decision in January. I reckon it'll be no change. Yeah, look. So strongly towards no change. So it is basically all going to be on how people interpret his language then.
Yeah. I mean, it normally is, unless he makes it really obvious, but obviously they like using technical terms and whatnot.
Did have a few when it was like, will he reduce them by 25 basis points or not? And people weren't really sure when it came closer, and then it became more evident, and then the markets moved. But this one, it looks like it's stuck on that he's not going to move. And then it just depends what he gives for forward guidance. And forward guidance is now been becoming such a big deal. And it's quite frustrating because crypto used to be like a hedge against the macro. And now it's been swallowed up by the macro. Now we're all hoping that tech stock will help.
The way I look at it, macro is crypto and crypto is macro. Right? Everything is interlinked. So obviously from the frameworks and that I look at, which is normally from is mostly from Real Vision, Raoul Powell, 42 macro and Darius Dale, and a couple of other Twitter accounts. A lot of them are roughly the same. Like their base cases, the Fed are basically refinancing their debt, and we're in this 4-year cycle, which has happened coincidentally since 2008, which they then was the first time they ever used quantitative easing as such, which is why we've had this pretty much easy market since 2008, because it goes up, we know there's a correction coming, we come down, and then it's just continuous, which is why we've had this sort of like what could be classed as easy market participants as such. But obviously the idea of crypto and the reason maybe we want to invest in crypto is because, one, you can make some good money in it, but two, it's not easy doing it. So if anyone ever tells you got lucky, just show them a chart and say, look, I had to hold through 5 plus 50% drawdowns in a space of a year, for example, because it's not easy.
I could have taken a 50% drawdown this time next year, when I kind of feel like, okay, market's finished now. Any money that I do leave on the table, I'm expecting it to draw down. But a 50% plus drawdown now, it hurts.
I mean, do you remember a couple of weeks back we were discussing the potential for a potential crisis to happen to then enable them to print money? So do you know who Arthur Hayes is? Yeah, so Arthur Hayes come up with a rough tweet today. I don't think he's posted it just yet. He said he was going to post it, I believe, this morning. Haven't seen it. But he reckons we will go through a mini financial crisis, which will then cause this Fed to print stimulus before obviously sending everyone to mad prices. And I think he was doing a write-up on that today. So I'm waiting for that to come out to obviously have a read over. But that was kind of what I was thinking anyway. Because as we've showed on this show, that absolute mountain of debt that needs refinancing and refinancing soon. So it's not like they can keep pushing it back.
No, the only counter argument that I did start to hear was that they could produce their way out of it. If they really up their production, then they could.
And there's an argument that they can, but that's not going to be done within a year.
Oh yeah, that's the problem. I don't know if they've got the time for that. I don't know if the time exists. So with the crypto crash that we've got so far, what would you say have been the leading contributing factors? Do you think it's all been macro? Do you think the Trump and the Melania coin have got a role to play in it?
No, I don't think Trump and Melania have got anything to do. Obviously, when they got launched, they did. In the very short term, the 1 to 2 days after they got launched, yes, it sucked liquidity out of the Sol ecosystem, which is why we saw AI16Z and all these other big Sol coins down 30+%. Because everyone sold everything to get into Trump. And then since then, if you didn't get out, you had just bled a very slow portfolio down over the last, has it been 4 or 5 days now? It's weird.
A week. It's been over.
Yeah, a week. So in the smaller term, yes, I believe they've affected it. In the longer term, not really. Markets are just doing market things. Like when you were a bit bullish, was it last week or the week before, saying we were going to go to 110, I remain conservative because we hadn't had confirmation that we were breaking out. It's the same for the downside. Like if we were breaking down below 90 and we had, say, a weekly or consecutive daily closes below, it gives you your direction for the next week or two until next support comes in. So until we break this range that we're in, which I'll probably show later, there's nothing to be worried about. We are purely consolidating. And this chop is what will break effectively new or unexperienced market participants.
Yes.
Because we are in a very broad range here. Like there's a range between 90 and 109K. Like, that's a big gap. If you're buying in at 108, it then draws down to 90, you're down a decent amount of money. It's not like it's 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
And it's the same the other way around. If you bought in at 90 and up to 108, you made a decent amount of money. And then to see your money then lose or to come back to near break even, you're like, shit, I should have got out. This is the idea of chop. It's to push all the weak-handed people out. And I think I saw actually a post yesterday of all the long-term hires, long-term Bitcoin holders actually buying. So whales effectively have been accumulating and retail have been selling over this past week or two, which, to be fair, explains the Twitter timeline.
You do often say that the longer we chop, the better.
Yeah.
Then
The longer we chop, the more explosive move in either direction. Because I think if we are to chop down, and we've talked about the possibilities of breaking down from this range, we've talked about 75K-ish. We have talked about that previous all-time high area, which is not off the cards. So unless we break higher, it's still within the cards if we go to the downside. And that will scare everybody serious.
Yeah.
Like, it will not be easy.
But that's a great opportunity though, isn't it?
It is. Obviously, and it also depends, like I said, the underlying fundamentals. If Jay Powell is to come out this week and say, look, we're putting an end to all QE, the markets are going to shit the bed. But they are just going to shit the bed and the bear market probably starts now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's highly unlikely. The odds of that happening are very, very low.
Luckily, he doesn't often do things that surprise anyone. That's why the poly market odds are so high. Like these odds that I showed before, if we look, I'll show you again quickly. If we look at how long the odds have been so high, like since the start of the year, they've been at 91% plus. It's kind of like people kind of know what he's going to do. It's not likely for him to turn around and be like, oh, by the way, today I feel like half of 50 basis points cut. Gotcha. So yeah. It's good. I like the fact that we know what to expect from these guys. The problem then being is that it just leaves the door open to interpretation on what he says. And I don't know that he can possibly be any more balanced than he usually is. He's usually extremely balanced and people try to pick things out from what he says. So let's see, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Right, Ethereum. Obviously, last couple of weeks, we briefly talked about Ethereum. I've been getting pretty bullish on it. Are you still feeling kind of a bit bored with it? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The thesis is that Ethereum follows Bitcoin one cycle behind. So whatever Bitcoin done the cycle before, Ethereum will do the cycle after. Solana will do the cycle after that. So that's I can't see it. I think Ethereum are now in great turmoil. I think the main thing that they do have going for them is something that is no longer that important, which is decentralization, unfortunately. The markets are not really fussed about decentralization. Trump's releasing meme coins. The regulatory climate is going to be like the Wild West for the next 4 years. We can almost count on that. So these sorts of, I guess, ethoses are just not that important now, which kind of makes me worry that Solana's not going to do well. But I am jaded because Solana was my biggest bet. I'm sorry, Ethereum. Ethereum was my biggest bet going into this market. Ethereum was the one I thought would change. I thought it had the best tokenomics, the most developers, etc., etc. Problem being now that Solana is catching it up on developers, and it will more than likely surpass it on developers as this cycle continues.
Yeah.
The whole layer 2 and layer 3 system is a little bit cannibalistic, I guess. Is that the word? Is it cannibalistic? When it eats itself. So that's not playing out well. So I'm not that bullish, to be honest with you. But we've already got an ETF, so
Yeah.
price-wise, there's no good news there. The thing is, price-wise is one thing, and token-wise or technology-wise is another. And I think technology-wise, I think it's great. Like, I only almost exclusively build on Ethereum. Price-wise, I can't see it. I see it stabilizing and doing small numbers, and then maybe next cycle starting to fall away as people decide to do other things.
I think you'll be shocked. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And obviously, this has nothing to do with fundamentals. So this is purely all charts driven. So first of all, we have, this is the Ethereum chart on a weekly time scale. So each candle in here represents 1 week worth of trading. We have a massive wedge, which you can see we are getting to the imminent moment where it will have to make its decision. And I think a couple of weeks ago, we talked about a scenario where we maybe bounce up, get everyone bullish, come down, everyone shits to bed, sells it, then that's the key. And that's the green light go, effectively, for Ethereum to rally out. I don't think that is, I think that's a possibility. I think that is totally on the cards. Because if we were to rally up to close to 3.8 again, and then if we were to dump to around 2.4, I don't think there'll be many people left buying that effectively. The other pattern that we're also looking at here is an inverse head and shoulders, which are typically bottoming patterns and are very bullish if they break to the upside. So obviously we are still waiting for this right shoulder to form. But if this right shoulder can put in a low, so it still could go as low as say 2,700, 2,600, and form that right shoulder. If that is then to break out, it targets ETH at around 7,700. So they are bullish looking technicals to ETH, even though sentiment is on the floor. And that for me is a green light go to start buying ETH and ETH ecosystem related tokens. So when you're looking at this sort of stuff, what do you want to be looking at? In my point of view, you want to be looking at ETH memes. So the big ones are Pepe Shib. But then you want to be looking at AI related things, FET, AGIX, stuff like that. Also DeFi, Curve, Aave, Sushi, Lido, all of these things, Uniswap, all of these things have actually done relatively well if you actually look at their recent charts. Like, they haven't done awfully, even though ETH has just been, I know, very boring. Technically, it's still pretty good.
Do you know what? I'm such a moon boy that what you've just said has got my blood pumping. I'm like, yeah, all right, growing. And you know what's funny, right? When was that my cat? My cat's just decided to go for a run. Right, sorry about that. When I once watched, I think it might have been Charles Hoskinson speak in person in Portugal, and this may have been pre 21, so maybe 2018, 2017, right? And he was talking and he says that the thing is, we've had the cycle and now we're in the downturn. And the thing about a downturn is nobody buys, everybody sells. It's a bear market. Nobody buys, everybody sells. But when you go into a bull market and you hit an upturn and the price starts to go up, guess what? Nobody sells, everybody buys. Now, the reason why I was so bullish about Ethereum before was because of its tokenomics and this new fundamental thing that they had changed, which was that it moved to proof of stake, meaning that when there's transactions on the chain, it's actually burning a token, making it deflationary with a certain amount of use. Now, in reality, we are seeing that use. Like, we do see that use, even if you abstract it to layer 2s, which is less fees, but you are still seeing the use on L1. Now, if the price starts taking off, NFTs are going to start taking off, DeFi has never really
I
slept.
mean, you also have to look at the ETH ecosystem.
And
Base.
lending. Yeah. But the problem with the L2s is that they don't charge as much. So the fees are
Very small.
the fees.
But I think the thing is, though, like what I'm trying to say is that when ETH does move, you will have everything behind it move.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, a couple of these ones that have actually been really strong, a little bit of alpha here, you want to be looking at the stuff like Chainlink. Chainlink is nowhere near the lows. You can see we had this beautiful consolidation in here, expansion out, a little head and shoulders top that then brought us back into the range briefly to retest, perfect technical retest, and since then have moved to within this key area of supports, or now support at 23-ish. You want to be looking at that because as soon as these starts moving, Link is probably going way north of these targets I've even got on my screen. Another one is Aave. I mean, look at that. Another beautiful consolidation wedge here, breakout, big bull flag, expansion. Like, these are the ones you want to be looking at. ENS as well. Lovely looking chart. We've just had a move up, big sideways chop, gets everyone that's new out of it, expansion. Big sideways, everyone that's got new and come in here is probably out by now because it's fallen 50 odd percent from the local highs to current price. Yeah, 40 odd percent. So everyone that was new is probably now out. So you want to be looking at the stuff that has relative or has had relative strength within that ecosystem or space. Another one is base, for example. Look at the ones that were big on base. Look at the likes of Brett. Look at the likes of Virtuals. Look at the stuff like that. And then assess it, see where you think it may be going. Obviously, you guys all should have your own plan rather than just following randoms on Twitter or Instagram or wherever. But look at the ones that have relative strength in this space. No, I kind of want to bring something up about Miggles. Now, I released this to the Telegram yesterday. It is only because I literally, it's sad when you start thinking about this stuff like in your dreams. Do you know, it was the day that I think Trump announced the potential or the thought of US-based cryptos being tax-free in the US. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is XRP, HBAR, Algorand, Link, Cardano, DOT, a whole list of them.
So what, meaning that if you hold those,
if you're from the US and you hold those cryptos, the money you make in it is completely tax-free. So if that was for us, what would you be doing in that scenario? You'd be buying every single asset that would be cost tax-free.
Yeah.
Like, you would. And I was thinking, I don't know why, but I was thinking, hang on a minute, Miggles, Coinbase. Coinbase had to create a company called Pearl Labs, which now has the IP rights for Mr. Miggles, the meme coin on Base, which is now its mascot. That would then be cast as an American-owned meme coin that would fit that bill. Now, I don't know of any other meme coins that would then be cast as American.
I guess Trump, Melania.
And Trump, yeah. Now Trump and Melania. But they're a very small niche amount of meme coins. Very small. I don't know if Doge or where that is based, or Pepe.
Right, I guess. Right, so I guess the meme coin itself would have to have a team, and the team has to be based.
So the company is the company's Pearl Labs. Yeah. So Coinbase had to create Pearl Labs, which then, because you need an actual company to file to get the IP rights for something. So they then filed for the IP rights for Miggles, which they now have. The only other thing you can kind of compare it to in an NFT way and what they could do with the token is kind of like Pudgy Penguins.
Yeah.
Okay. They're the only other one that have IP rights and that actually can create actual toys and have done and have a game and various other things.
So what about Animoca? Because Animoca, was it Animoca who have got
Animoca brands?
Have they got, who has got Bored Apes and Yuga Labs?
Yuga Labs. Yes. Probably cast as well. I think that's American. Well, actually, I never even thought of them. All American. But yeah, the point I'm saying is kind of that this stuff is underpriced. Right. Until the news comes out, like it's been certified. Unless I don't believe this is already priced in. You don't believe that because everyone that has moved to say Dubai and then isn't maybe happy with it and is only there because of the tax benefits is soon going to shift. You'll go back to America. What's the point in being there if they weren't enjoying it as much? I mean, they might be loving it there, in what case they might stay. But if they are to release this tax-free crypto in America, I think you could see a huge shift in capital allocation into what tokens.
I would agree. I think also, it would be interesting for other nations if they would do the same. And this is, give this guy his credit, right? The orange guy. He is doing stuff. So if this does say what's happening, is this set in stone now that the made in the USA coins will give you no...
This is Eric Trump tweeting.
Right. So if this does happen, hopefully this sets a good precedent, because what it will mean is that every nation kind of gets behind their own champions. And
if anyone wants to actually drive any GDP to their country, they'd follow suit.
I think that's great for us, because we'd have a load of stuff that...
Not that I can see that happening in the UK anytime soon, but the other countries come in.
What would we have? Would we have Polkadot? Polkadot based here?
No, I think Dot's American. Is it Gavin Woods? He's I think they set it up in the US.
What about Ethereum?
It's cast as
It depends where the foundation is. I think, is there the foundation in Switzerland or somewhere stupid like that, or Marshall Islands or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It's just a bit of food for thought.
I think it will be a fun dynamic. I think it'll be fun. If it does happen. I guess Eric Trump tweeting it in days gone by, you would say, well, that's not really a sign that anything's going to happen. But nowadays, the president's launched a meme coin. Like, well, why the hell not? So yeah, anything can happen. I think that'd be pretty cool. I would enjoy that.
It'd be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Right, I'm quickly just going to share some of the charts that I have been looking at in this report that I got today. So the first one, I think I've showed this before, is a recap. So in the white, we have what the dollar did last time Trump came into power, which is 2016, 17 and 18. And in the turquoise blue, you can see on my screen, excuse me, we currently have the DXY today. So it pretty much followed it to the top up. Then if we also just flicked over to the DXY chart quickly, you can actually see that the dollar looks to have put in its top, which we were looking for and have been looking for the past weeks to month ago. So that looks like it's coming into play. The second chart I want to show you is this one here. Global M2 versus Bitcoin, which has always been an important signal to watch when it comes to Bitcoin and other risk assets. It's a signal we pointed out back in July MIT report as it was happening. Since then, Bitcoin's up 82%. But I digress. You can see, as I've shown this before, we have these periods where we break out of these wedges within M2, retest, expansion. Same happened in 2020, breakout, retest, expansion. What's happening now? Breakout, retest, liquidity's come down, which we've been following as well. What probably happens next? Expansion. You get the gist of things. And you can see every time we had this breakout in M2 marked with these white lines on the chart, Bitcoin over the next, call it 2 years or year and a half, moves significantly higher than where it was. Obviously, you have to bear in mind that each time we have this cycle, there'll be slightly diminishing returns, but you get the gist of things. Second one is down on page 58, or third one, sorry.
How do you get access to all of this information, and how can the average person?
This is paid, so if you want to sign up to Real Vision, I think it's the plus tier, you get this in the plus tier. I think it's about $800 a year, I believe. Something like that. Obviously, free alpha for you guys. So this is the AAII Bull Index. Now, we can see here, Bullish is really bullish, effectively, like on the chart. You see these white spikes at the top. This is where we get really bullish. Obviously, if I was to draw a line across here, you could kind of act it as resistance, like when we do charting, for example. Actually, what can I do? a straight line. Let me see if I can draw here. No, it's just highlighting. But anyway, if I was to draw some sort of straight line across here, you would see that we were at, say, very high resistance for this. So you were expecting a bullish flush, effectively. We have then since said that, or seen that within markets, as we just discussed at the start, and you're feeling yourself, crypto, so very negative on the market. Everyone was overexcited. We thought we were going to the moon, and now we seem to be on the floor again. But it's the same sort of thing, but other way around. We now could draw a line along the bottom here, and we say we're coming into support. So as this gets drawn down, we're looking for this to then reverse. Basically, when this falls, it's by the dip scenario, effectively, in my point of view. So the second chart is on this one here. And this is...
Sorry. Slow down. So on the last one, that where the line ended, is that where we are now?
This is where we are. I think this was posted on the 24th, I believe.
Okay, so we have
made on the 24th. So we're missing 3 days worth of data.
Okay, which hopefully has taken us right down to about 18%, whatever that.
Yeah, maybe.
So what is the percentage on the left? What does that represent?
Well, basically percentage of people being bullish, effectively.
Right, okay.
The lower this is, the better. It's where you want to be buying. The higher you want to be a bit wary.
Right.
In easy terms.
Yeah.
So fourth chart. So this is the S&P 500. This is a percentage of stocks trading above the 50-day moving average. That is an indicator you can have on your screen, effectively. So effectively here, so this turquoise line you can see at the bottom, this is the percentage of stocks, and then the S&P you have in white. Now, when this percentage of stocks is on this lower boundary, you can see the lower dashed turquoise line. That is effectively when you want to be bullish. Down here, you want to be buying. And we saw that, I mean, that's 2025, our little white dot there. So that's where we want to be, or getting excited, effectively. So again, a very bullish indicator. Moving into the last two now. This is their Bitcoin cycle top finder. So I don't know what is compromised or what data is in this, but it's obviously been very accurate at timing tops within Bitcoin. And you can see that this cycle so far, we are nowhere near it, effectively. It hasn't even spiked up once yet. Right? I'd be a bit nervous if we maybe had one like this going, maybe okay, the top could have been in. But according to this set of data, we are nowhere near the top. It is not in, it's not even a factor at the minute. This chart here, which is the March 2016 to 18 versus Bitcoin today. So this again is like the dollar one we showed earlier, where Trump last come in with the DXY, where it come up, just started coming down. This is Bitcoin. We are kind of mirroring the same path that Bitcoin took during that 2026 to 2018 period. Obviously, it's not to say that we're going to go to 1 million on the right-hand side here, because probably not. But there's a good indicator we are going in that direction, which is the key direction everyone cares about, and that is up. So again, nothing too bearish to worry about there. And the final one is NASDAQ. So a bit like the chart I just showed you, this is the NASDAQ in turquoise, which is now compared to the NASDAQ in 2016-18, last time Trump was in. And again, quite a similar close representation. The only thing being slightly different here is NASDAQ has been slightly outperforming as it was in 2016, as it has only since started just underperforming slightly. So I believe we could be in for a delayed pullback in NASDAQ, which makes sense if we are to follow these similar routes to this chart. And then ultimately, the direction of play is up and to the right, effectively. So on a broader macro point of view, there's still nothing in my eyes to be bearish about.
I love that. So last week when we were saying it's the time to buy, we possibly jumped the gun a little bit.
Bad. But and then also I believe it depends on what assets you're looking at. So for example, I'll just throw a couple up now. If you're looking at the likes of, like I said earlier, some of these ones on game, on base,
Is that Miggles back to, was it 10 cents or 1 cent?
Yeah, Miggles has exploded the last couple of days. Had a lovely rally off the bottom. Since the low, it's up around 200%.
Love to see it.
And I literally swapped all my turbo into Miggles probably around here. So since doing all right. But again, to look at these assets like we were looking at a couple of weeks ago, game has been absolutely flawed. This is now down 82%. And if you think, like, for example, this is a perfect asset to be picking up now. Irrelevant of if you think we could go another 20% lower. If you haven't bought any game here, you are buying an absolute bargain because your average Joe probably has a entry up and around here and probably down at least 60 to 70% in that area. So buying here, it's cheap. Not to say that we could still go lower, maybe into this box here, maybe into the lower boundary here, another 50%.
So, chances are game does make all-time highs again this cycle. If that's the you're trimming the
majority of your move is probably done. The majority of the move to the downside is probably done. And it's same with AIXPT. Obviously, we saw this and it's had multiple up correction sort of things. So this move here, we saw it move at 107%. We then, from that 107%, saw a correction of 43%. From that correction, we then saw an absolute explosion of around 161%, and has since seen a sell-off of approximately 50% again. So these things are just doing what they do best, shaking out what we can. Virtuals. This is the worrying chart I see at the minute, because we do have this head and shoulders top. If this is to play out, virtuals could fall another 48% or near 50% correction. The only reason why that worries me is because if virtual is going to fall another 50%, the others we just discussed are probably going to get even more battered and fall 60, 70%. So like we just discussed, game could fall another 50%. That is totally doable if virtual's head and shoulders is to play out.
There is some fundamentals I can back that up with, actually.
Virtuals to fall another 50%.
Virtuals to fall another 50%. I can't find the tweet, but I did hear it somewhere that virtuals they're changing the way they handle their token.
Right, okay.
So what they said they were going to do was, instead of having the pools, so when you launch your agent on virtuals, you'd have one side of your liquidity pool with your own token, the agent's token, and the other side would be with the virtuals token. Now, what virtuals are saying is that the trading fees on all the pools are going to go towards buying up the token of whichever the fee in the pool is, whichever the other side of the pool is. Now, that will mean selling the virtuals token. And I think that's probably the fundamental reason why a lot of people are kind of looking at the virtuals token and being like, wait a minute here, you're turning your back on us at the minute. So I don't know how long that will stay. What may happen is it may drop to the $1 mark, and the price getting smashed may cause the virtuals team to turn around and say, okay, well, let's think about this, what we're doing here, and maybe, and maybe change it. So,
I mean, it's the same with a lot of these things. Like another big one was Faye. That was down from peak, bought 38%. And it's the same on the Sol ecosystem. You look at the likes of FXN. I know this is one that you like. Again, it's pretty a scary pattern, head and shoulders top, which could signify it falls. Oh, what the hell have I done there? Don't know what I clicked there. But signifies it could fall to the 0.007 mark, which from current spot is another 66% to the downside, and from peak is already down 75%. And AI16Z is pretty much the same as all the others we've discussed. From peak is down 72% and is coming into that zone that I talked about but it could easily come down to this lower zone, which is further 74%. So it depends on what assets you're looking at. So some assets you can start picking up now. Others, for example, Bitcoin, if we were to go to Bitcoin, you'd probably want to wait for a slightly cheaper price, because on the bigger time frame here, we haven't really fallen that much. We've only gone from a mere $110,000, call it, to 99. It's not world-ending news. If this was to come down to here, yes, then buy, because you have then fallen approximately 33% from the prior high. And I think anything within, I've called it the 85 to 75 region, this region here, is a clear buy the that asset signal. But buying these other assets, as I just showed you, depending on what they are, is a steal, because you have to look at it relatively to how high they were. Yeah, I've got to remember there will be a lot of people still stuck in their positions from higher prices. And the idea of this keep going down is to push them out.
FXN are releasing on mainnet at some point this week. So
Okay.
I would expect that to be a bullish moment. So they've got that kind of to look for. So I guess what I like to do now is combine the charts with the fundamentals. So now when I see these zones that you're drawing in, I'm like, right, okay, we hit that price and we get some good news, then the stars align.
Yeah.
Then I'd expect to see something. We're not.
When are they due to release that? Is there any idea?
At some point this week.
Right, okay.
Like at some point this week. They said mainnet next week was the last thing they said. I can have a look. Let me have a look. FX.
I mean, quite interesting to see if anything obviously comes out around that time.
What happens and what happens with their price. But well, they haven't tweeted for days. But yeah, we'll see you next week. FXN mainnet, 24th of January, they've posted that.
Okay.
So,
well, that would be interesting. Yeah, maybe that will align with, like you say, some good news and a good technical point, and then we could be all lights go to be adding to it.
Yeah, well, I've got some, but at this price, and this is probably almost 50% cheaper than what I paid when I bought it earlier in the year, and it doubled from there. So at 21, if I like to have 33, I should like it at 21. Yeah. And I do. I still really like the project. So yeah, I think it's a good one. The problem for me is when we're in this bearish market, maybe like bearish time frame.
Bearish phase.
Yeah, bearish phase. When we're in this bearish phase, I kind of feel like I don't want to buy anything because it will just go lower. Let me wait. And then I'll wake up one day and it'll be up 80%. And then I'll be like, I shouldn't have waited. So I do need to start having a nibble now, as you say.
Yeah, the other thing is it's just kind of having the balls to deploy your capital. Whereas, I mean, I've had a couple DMs from just like randoms over the last couple of days, and then what should I be buying now? I think it might go lower though. And like, one, it depends on what your time horizon is. Like, if you're looking towards the back end of 2025 and you think prices should be a hell of a lot higher, you should be thankful that you've got this dip. Yeah. Obviously, you can't guess whether a black swan event is going to happen. We don't know whether we're going to see a shock down up scenario like we kind of saw during COVID or that 2020 phase. So you can't base it around that. So if you've got an asset like I just showed you, AI16Z, that is down 50-60% from the highs, the money now is it's not a bad shout. You can't be angry at yourself for picking up some now. I have started nibbling today. I allocated a bit of capital and was looking to maybe pick some more up stuff tonight and look at the game chart. We'll see in a minute as we do our predictions. But it looks like if the daily candle close where we are now, if not a little bit higher, we could be in for a pretty quick reversal. So let's see. Should we get into predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, let me share my screen. Right, to kick off, we had Bitcoin. We are on the weekly. So last week I predicted 97 and you predicted 101. The high was 109 and the low was 97. So I was probably a tad bearish, although if it was a day later, I would have been near the money effectively.
What did I say? Did I say 101 or 110?
Yeah, 101.
Okay.
So you nailed it. You nailed that last week. Then for ETH, I had 3,180 and you had 2,800. We saw a high of 3,448 and a low of 3,139. So both correct on that front there.
Bearish. Bearish.
Yeah, we were a tad bearish. Well, I'd say neutral, to be honest. They're not massive high swings. AI16Z, I said 120. We saw a high of 126. You said 80 cents. And we've seen a low of 0.72. So we got that swing in that broader range, which doesn't look like much on the weekly. But if I put it on the daily, we kind of nailed that bounce there.
How low do you think AI16Z goes? Do you think it touches that
Green box?
You think it goes down to there 40?
I think it could touch this bid box. And if I show you on my other chart here, we can see that the falling wedge, there is the falling wedge target for AI16 is probably in this lower boundary. So I mean, I'm eyeing this up, but that is assuming we get probably Bitcoin fall through the 90k floor. That's what I can see pushing it down to there. If not, but I'm more than happy to be buying coming into this area of support that we're coming into now. And if we do break this channel that we're in on this chart, the target channel or the target for that to fall is around the 27 cents area, which if you then look over to the side would be classed as a key area of, say, support, just because of these prior candles here, prior resistance here, and then support. So the technicals are adding up for those sorts of targets. But again, we both nailed those ones. So far, you're 3 for 3, I'm 2 for 3. Moving on, Doge. We can stick this back onto a weekly. I said 0.46 and that you said 0.42. We saw a high of 0.40, so probably a tad bullish on Doge last week. And we saw a low of 33 cents. So nothing there.
Do you know why we got that wrong? Bitcoin's dominance has been expanding. And I think we were thinking if we do get a slight Bitcoin up, we should see the rally. And they didn't.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll go through a couple of Bitcoin dominance charts in a second, because I've been doing a lot of charting on them this week, looking at pairs and means and various other things. Game, I had one. I had 17 cents, and you had 20 cents. We saw a low of 8 cents and a high of 14. So we were both a tad off there. So you were 3 for 5 in the end, and I was 2 for 5. But a minute ago, I said I could see Game having a decent reversal depending on where today's candle finishes. If today's candle finishes, I would say around the 0.068-ish area. That would be classed, I believe, as an inverted hammer. Do not quote me on that, but typically they are bullish patterns. Or it might be a bottom tail that can be completely made up. But an example of this would be Zano. So we can see this candle here, this weekly candle on Zano, is a bearish looking candle. Now, when you see something like this is called a topping tail. It normally signifies a breakdown. So for people that know of Zano and the Telegram knows of Zano, we got rid of about 70% of our bags around the $17 to $16 range, since fallen 9%, and we're eyeing up this $8 region to re-enter effectively. But that's an example of sort of candlesticks as well as charting, because a daily candle to close up here, or maybe even if the weekly candle for gain could close back above that area of the 0.07, 0.08, that would be incredibly bullish. And I think you could definitely see a reversal to 13 cents. But obviously we are only on in the Monday, so there's a hell of a lot of time to go before we get that. And also we have some big macro events coming this week.
Do you buy game at this price here?
Yes. If you have a longer term outlook like I do, I am not afraid of buying game in the grand down 50%. My game positions are probably already negative at least 40 to 30%. And if you have conviction on a project, you double down.
Okay.
Right? For me, that's a rule of thumb. If I have a conviction on a project, it then goes down 40, 50%. I have to be able to double down again for me to make that investment in the first place.
Okay.
That's the way I kind of look at it. But obviously, everyone has their different risk tolerances. If you're telling someone that hasn't touched crypto before and they're going to get into it, you're saying, right, you're going to buy what is now a $64 million asset that has since fallen 70% from the highs. 82% from the highs, but has the possibility of falling another 50%. They're not going to be buying it, are they? Let's be honest.
It's a 5x. It's a 5x for it to get back to its all-time highs.
Yeah,
it's a 5x.
Can it do a 5x?
I think it's doable. Right. So for this week, where do you think Bitcoin is going to be going? And just for some technicals, we are currently at, say, the mid-range support of this broader range between, call it 90 and 110K.
It all is down to Jerome, isn't it?
It's all
down to him, what he says.
It's all down to what he says. It doesn't even matter what he does. It's all down to what he says. The thing is, if he doesn't say what we want him to say, it could be a perfect storm of bad news.
Yeah. I mean, I think if he remains, say, market neutral, doesn't come out of anything wildish either way, I think we just see chop. I think Bitcoin could probably remain within this range for another couple of weeks before maybe coming out.
Okay, so we got that. That's one sign. The other sign is we had the thing about people being really bearish, and we're near the bottom of that range, because I liked that chart as well, which jumped up and down, the black and white one.
That was more that's more stock market sentiment, to be honest. But obviously, stock market sentiment definitely overflows.
Yeah, it matters now, doesn't it? It matters. We are now a leveraged tech play.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be bullish because I'm always bullish. I am permeable. I want to see
highs.
Yeah, range highs. Let's go.
So what, 108.5?
108.
Yeah.
Give me 108. Let's go, baby.
I am gonna go with. Again, I've seen some sort of stuff today on Twitter and liquidation of heat maps and whatnot, and apparently most of the liquidity is around the 106. So I'm gonna join you with being partly bullish and say 106.
Okay, I like it.
So let's see if we can get that bounce. ETH, in all honesty, I think has held up pretty well, considering, even though it's been a bit sluggish.
Trump and those lot bought a bunch of it, didn't they?
Yeah, they've kept buying it as well, which is why, I mean, I actually half debated with myself this week if I wanted to get out of Sol and now into ETH, but we'll see. Where do you think ETH will hold this key area of support around the 3K mark? Because this is the line in the sand for me. If we get a consecutive daily closes below this, I think you definitely see 2.8 and potentially even the lower boundary of 2.6. But that would still be good technically if we were to form a right shoulder.
Oh, do I think we can hold?
I think we can bounce.
Yeah, I think so. So I didn't say 3-3.
Yeah, I was going to say 3-3. We'll both go 3-3.
Oh, man.
Bit of a painful one. Do we want to swap AI16Z out for anything else, or do you want to keep it?
Yeah, I'm sick of it. Sick of the sight of it.
What's up?
What we want to do?
Should we do whiff?
Yeah,
Because whiff has been getting slaughtered.
yeah, it has. With.
And there's a buying opportunity if ever I saw one.
Let me get a better chart. There is a better chart than this for with. Actually, I know where it is. I'll just get it off of my one here. So this is the whiff chart. So if I do that on a bigger time frame point of view, all I'm seeing here is a big bull flag. I mean, it's not great market times for whiff to be where it is, but you can't do much about it. I actually have, you see this little green mark here? It should probably actually be yellow. I think we could maybe see a wick to there, which is still a further, what, 40-odd%. Right.
You have drawn in there this purple area as like a bounce there. Yeah, that's normally a buying box, isn't it?
Yeah, this is big box. They are key areas of support, and you've seen that previously. So this weekly candle here wicked in, we bounced out, and for consecutive weekly candles here, we saw it respected this buy zone, then bounced out, and since then has just been bleeding into this area. And
Once it goes into the buy zone as deep as it's gone there, does that make it like a super buy or like a don't touch it?
To be honest, it depends on where it is on the bigger time frame. So if I'm to hide all indicators here and probably drawings, that hide all, the monthly support for whiff or key monthly support would have been around the 152 or where it is now. So where it is now is kind of the line in the sand. If it is to break where it is now, then as I just said, that little yellow squiggle opens up the possibility of this area here where we had a bit of support in that build. And that's not a big area of support. Do not think that will save us, because if that doesn't, then your line in the sand is 45 cents. That is these prior highs down here, which you'd be looking at to hit, which again from current price is around about another 50% drop, which I'm for sure there wouldn't be a lot of whiff holders left after that, from being at $4.70 in November last year, because that is a 90-odd% correction.
How far have we corrected so far into where we are from the highs?
So from prior high, or from the prior local high, we had seen a 76% correction. So pretty tough. Like I say, we want to see some reactions here.
Do you buy here or do you wait to see it touch 130?
I mean, I have personally been nibbling with the amount that I have, but I'm fully aware that if this does not hold, we could see a very quick flush into here or an extended period of time down here. So again, I can only kind of see us getting all the way down here if Bitcoin is to break that 90K mark. If it is, then that is going to fall like water. There will be nothing to hold that effectively, because this is just what they would class as blue sky or thin air. Nothing there to protect it. You haven't got periods of support or resistance. You've got nothing. You've got this tiny little bit in here around the 70-odd cents mark, but apart from that, all the way down here. But at the moment, it's still acting as support. So until proven otherwise, I'm going to presume we're going to get a bounce. So I'm going to go a tad bullish and say 130 for next week.
I'm going to say I'm going to say 90.
90, yeah? You reckon you'll go for that dive?
Yeah. I'll be bearish.
Respect it.
Because I guess it's a meme. Memes are not in fashion now. Trump's upset everybody with his meme coin, and Melania's upset everybody with her meme coin. So
yeah,
and it's not SBX, so it's not going to ignore.
Yeah. Should we create Doge in?
Did we do like no? We've just done a meme coin. Let's do.
Do you want to replace it with Trump?
Yeah, go on then. Because I said $100 on that last week.
Where is it?
I was a little way off.
So, this is the Trump chart. Oh, bit of a lag going on.
Oh, that looks like a nice wedge.
It does, doesn't it? It looks pretty good. And I actually made my first purchases the other day around the, I think, $30 mark.
It's pretty wedge.
Yeah.
It's pretty wedge.
Could JP save the Trump token? Maybe JP has been buying the Trump token.
Buying into that wedge. He knows his stuff, old JP. He'll buy into it, come out.
I mean, if Nancy Pelosi is anyone to go off of, JP could have loaded the truck up on Trump.
Good chance she'll be in prison at some point this year. Right. That looks bullish. And I was bullish on Trump last week.
Yeah.
I'm still bullish on him. The thing I think with this Trump coin is I think it's going to be a super emotional one. When it picks up speed, I think it's going to go rocketing. And then when it bleeds, these lot are just going to cry. So,
I mean, my double down price for full transparency is $22. I have all this at $22 to double down.
where are we now? 26?
Yeah, so not much lower. And we were close with the low of 24.6.
No. I'm going to go 35.
Yeah, I think that's doable. And we got a tad less bearish. I'm going to say we can see an initial bounce, but only touch local resistance around 31.
In an entire week?
Yeah. I think we could get to 31. Obviously, this week's going to be a while anyway, because you could even see NVIDIA have a 5% spike to the upside and then down again. Because of J Powell.
We're literally shooting in the dark this week. We've got no idea.
Yeah.
We've got no idea. And everybody is super scared, super touchy. The markets are ready to burst one way or the other.
Yeah.
Small.
Definitely. Wow. What else would you like to add to this week's list?
Our final one, I would like to add. Let me think. Trying to think.
Maybe one of the ETH stronger assets, maybe like Link.
Oh, should we do SPX?
Yeah, we can do SPX.
Let's do SPX 6100.
Have you still got any of that or not?
No, rotated everything into AI just before AI went to sleep.
Let me see if I can get a better chart. Oh. Mine's I need to get a new laptop.
I'm in the Apple gang now.
There we go.
That can't be it.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
No, that's not it. Look, 80. Yeah, that one. 89 million.
Wormhole?
The wormhole one might be the one. Yeah.
That look about right?
Yeah, but I guess that's the market cap on Solana. That's
Okay.
no. See if you can see the normal be with ETH. Yeah. See if you can find it with ETH. There you go. That one looked proper.
First ETH, yeah?
Yeah.
No, I used to do USDT, that's why. Nope, still not having it. I mean, surely there's a better chart than these.
So I look at it on I don't look at it on Solana. So
Oh, is that it there? 985 million. That sounds a bit more realistic. Yeah, there we go. Ooh, look at that. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea. Looks like a
McDonald's double top.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It looks like a McDonald's arches, doesn't it?
Yep.
Now, if it's a double top, it's bad. So, if that is to fall below the line of support around the dollar, you should see about 60%, 60 cents. Obviously, you have a line of support or this little bid box that I have drawn in, which I would not be bidding. That would just be a support box at this stage. I'd be targeting this area here, so between 77 and 62-ish, 63.
Somebody said to me today, SPX is going to 60. Literally said it's going to 60.
Yeah. I mean, that double top puts you pretty much at 60. So they might be looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
And then it'd be interesting to see if we actually drew. Okay, look at that. It'd also be diagonal support. And on a slightly bigger time frame, that could also be just classed as a big channel. So what happens is we get down here, you look to get bullish again and maybe play another bounce.
Right, let's mark that down then.
To be honest, that's held up actually really well.
So well.
I haven't looked at this at all since probably last time we looked at it.
So well.
And that was obviously a while ago because we were looking at, I had this charted up. So it was probably back in November, early October or early December.
December, I think, would have been,
You were looking at this.
Yeah.
If anything, it's actually done well considering the AI phase and everything else.
Yep. This was one of the only meme coins that really outperformed when AI was going crazy. So we moved from SPX into AI. I was like, right, get rid of this, no more memes, everything AI. And all the other, like a lot of the memes I had went to pieces, but SPX shot off.
Yeah. Right, where do you think it's going? I mean, most of the stuff we've seen or we've said is to have a slight bounce. So I'm going to stick with that trend. I'm going to say we could bounce around the dollar. I'm going to say $1.25 for SPX.
SPX is too strong, isn't it? You can't fade SPX.
I don't think it will fall
No.
back quickly.
No. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 110. I'm feeling like.
Conservative, but
Yeah, I think like it's supposed to drop, but because it's SPX, it won't.
yeah.
I think it's gonna.
Another one you've actually mentioned was this MLG. This last week.
Yeah.
It's held up pretty well.
I know, look at that baby.
And this one I really like. I really like this one.
Yep, it's held up pretty well. But I would not be looking to buy any of it into this week's speech, to be honest. I'd probably wait to see what Powell says, because we could easily see that. Although that doesn't look like much from current price, if we're to come down here, it's a 70%, 80% move. Which is, in the grand scheme of things, a big drawdown.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's like, let's start again. It's a great time to buy, great place to buy, but you'd be hurt.
I wouldn't want to be buying there. I'd wait for J Powell.
If it whips down, then maybe you get it in that bottom bid box, but not where it is now. No.
Yeah. All right. Well, another great episode. Anything else you want to cover quick?
Put that one in the bag. Nah, well, we're out of time now. We've done an hour and a half almost, so we don't want to rage on. No, I think we've covered everything. There's a few. I've got a few. I'll tell you what, actually, I'll talk about my calendar. There's a few hackathons starting this week, which I'm excited about. Sui
have got an AI hackathon. So there might be some good projects come out of there.
Keep an eye on the Siri.
Yeah, because I haven't seen much out of them yet with regards to AI stuff. I guess Eliza's over there now, so there's that, and then we've got ETH Oxford next weekend. So it's a moderately exciting week. But the main thing is going to be Jerome, which is Thursday or Friday.
Wednesday, I think.
Is it Wednesday?
So a quick look. FOMC interest rate decision, Fed Chair Powell press conference. Yeah, Wednesday at 2:30 p.m.
Okay, day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not too long to go before we decide.
And then we've got initial jobs claims on the Thursday. That's the only other thing I would say is actually worth listening to.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. It's what Jerome says that matters. That's all we care about.
Well,
all right, well, fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed Jerome saves us. Come and save our bags, Jerome. We need you.
So until next time, adios.
Peace.